Greetings, brave souls. I am Mr. Creep, and you've stepped into my realm of horror. Tonight's story takes us to the foggy streets of London, where an unseen terror known as Jack the Ripper stalks his prey. We are in the year 1888, a time of shadows and secrets. Stay close and prepare for a journey into fear. London, 1888. The fog rolled through the narrow cobblestone streets of Whitechapel, making it hard to see the gas lamp's dim light. The air smelled of coal and dampness, mixed with the scent of fear that seemed to hang over the area. Everyone was talking about Jack the Ripper, the name whispered in hushed tones on every street corner. A figure wandered the maze-like alleys of Whitechapel, feeling an urge he couldn't explain. His thoughts were filled with the gruesome details of the Ripper's crimes. Each murder was more brutal than the last, each victim a woman of the night, and each crime seen a horrific display. As he walked, the fog grew thicker, and he felt like someone was watching him. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he walked faster, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the silent streets. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the mist, a man, tall and thin, with eyes that seemed to see right through him. Jack the Ripper is not just a man, the figure said in a quiet voice. He is something much worse. What do you mean? The wanderer asked, his heart pounding in his chest. He is a creature of the night, a monster that feeds on fear and blood, and he is not finished yet. The wanderer felt a chill run down his spine. How do you know this? The man smiled, a cold, knowing smile. Because I have seen him, and so have you. With that, the man turned and disappeared into the fog, leaving the wanderer standing alone in the silent street. He looked around, but there was no sign of the mysterious figure. His mind raced with questions. Who was he? And what did he mean by a creature of the night? Determined to find answers, the wanderer continued his investigation, delving deeper into the dark underbelly of Whitechapel. The more he learned, the more he realized that the Ripper was not just a man, but something far more evil. The streets were filled with whispers of strange sightings and unexplainable events. It was as if the very air was charged with a sinister energy. The wanderer visited crime scenes, spoke to witnesses, and pored over newspaper articles. Each clue he uncovered only deepened the mystery. The Ripper's attacks were not random. They followed a pattern, yet one that defied logical explanation. Each victim was left in a state that spoke of both savagery and precision, as though the killer took a twisted pleasure in his work. Weeks turned into months, and the fear in Whitechapel grew palpable. The wanderer, now deeply entrenched in his investigation, began to see connections that others missed. He noticed that the Ripper's killings always occurred on foggy nights, when visibility was low and escape routes were numerous. The killer knew the streets of Whitechapel intimately, moving through them like a ghost. Despite the wanderer's relentless pursuit, the Ripper remained elusive. Each time he thought he was close, the killer would vanish, leaving behind only the grisly evidence of his handiwork. The police were baffled, their efforts hindered by the lack of forensic science and the myriad of false leads. The wanderer often found himself at the 10 Bells pub, a local haunt where many of the Ripper's victims had spent their final hours. Here, he would listen to the locals' fearful whispers and piece together their fragmented stories. One night, an old woman, her eyes clouded with age and sorrow, shared a chilling tale. "They say he ain't human," she rasped, her voice trembling. "They say he moves through walls like a shadow. I've seen him, you know. Saw his eyes, cold and dead. Ain't never forgetting that." The wanderer felt a shiver run down his spine. Could it be that the Ripper was more than just a man? The old woman's words haunted him, but he pushed the thought aside. He had to focus on the facts, the evidence that could lead to the Ripper's capture. Days turned into nights of sleepless vigilance. The wanderer combed through police reports and witness statements, trying to find a pattern, a clue that everyone else had missed. He started mapping out the locations of the murders, looking for any connection that might reveal the Ripper's next move. One foggy night, while studying his map by candlelight, the wanderer realized something. The Ripper's murders formed a rough circle, centered around a particular area of Whitechapel. Could this be where the killer lived, or where he planned his next attack? Fueled by this revelation, the wanderer ventured into the heart of the circle, hoping to find some trace of the elusive murderer. As he walked the fog-shrouded streets, every sound seemed amplified. The clatter of a horse-drawn carriage, the distant wail of a baby, the echo of footsteps, each noise set his nerves on edge. He felt a presence, a sense of being watched, and quickened his pace. Rounding a corner, the wanderer came upon a dark, narrow alley. Something compelled him to enter. The alley was silent, save for the drip of water from a nearby gutter. His eyes strained to pierce the gloom, searching for any sign of movement. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall and gaunt, cloaked in darkness. The wanderer froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The figure moved with an eerie grace, its eyes glinting with a malevolent light. The wanderer knew, in that moment, that he was face to face with Jack the Ripper. Time seemed to stand still. The wanderer reached for a weapon, but before he could react, the Ripper vanished into the fog, leaving no trace. The wanderer was left standing in the silent alley, his mind reeling with terror and frustration. Despite his encounter, the wanderer knew that the Ripper would strike again. The killer was a master of eluding capture, a phantom that thrived on fear and chaos. The wanderer redoubled his efforts, determined to uncover the truth and bring an end to the Ripper's reign of terror. But as the nights grew darker and the fog thicker, the trail grew cold. The Ripper's murders continued to baffle the police and terrify the residents of Whitechapel. The wanderer's health began to suffer, his mind haunted by the horrors he had witnessed and the constant sense of dread. In the end, the wanderer realized that some mysteries were not meant to be solved. Jack the Ripper remained an enigma, a shadow that slipped through the cracks of history. The killer's identity, motives, and fate would forever remain shrouded in darkness. And so, the fog rolled on, the gas lamps flickered, and the streets of Whitechapel were once again silent. But the memory of Jack the Ripper and the fear he instilled in the hearts of the people would never be forgotten. The legend of the Ripper would endure, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks in the human soul. As you leave this tale, dear viewers, remember, the night holds many secrets, and some horrors are never truly laid to rest. Be vigilant, for you never know what shadows might be watching from the fog. Last but not least, just don't forget, for more afterlife tales, hit that cross, oh sorry, I meant subscribe button.